Here is Frankie Boyer.
And welcome. It is so nice to have you with us right here on BizTalk Radio. Well, my first guest today is Jean-Paul Sinclair Lewis, and he's the author of the new historical novel, The Tricolor and the Scimitar. And it took 7 years of research. And if that were not enough, he's getting ready to embark on a trip up the Nile on a 19th century side wheel steam cruise boat to conduct more research for the sequel. Jean-Paul, are you crazy or what?
I always like adventure. Anything that will get me out of the house to kill the tedium and boredom of life.
Yeah. Okay, so you've written 2 books about the American West on the Buffalo Soldiers.
That's
Buffalo
correct, yeah.
Gordon and the sequel Buffalo Gordon Fighting on the Plains. And those were nominated as the best novel of the West by the Western Writers of America. You've published short academic work for the American Waterways and Underground Railroad. How did this new project come about?
Because it was never done before, and I wanted to put the readers into my character's head. The Tricolor and the Scimitar is actually the first novel, and hopefully I'll be finished with the sequel in about 9 months or so. And so this one here recounts Napoleon Bonaparte and his army of the Orient's 30,000 to 35,000 men, women, and children who invaded and occupied Egypt and the Holy Land between 1798 and 1801. Now, the book opens with the conquest of Malta in June of 1798, and then moves to Egypt and the death march to Cairo, the Battle of the Pyramids, the annihilation of Admiral Nelson of the French Mediterranean fleet at the Battle of the Nile. Initially victorious on land, but now he was marooned. All of his ships were destroyed by the British. So Bonaparte and his troops of 35,000 soon confront fanatical resistance, insurrection, guerrilla desert warfare, the plague, ancient superstitions, slavery, harem, and the birth of Egyptology. That's one of the reasons why I am going down the Nile to see some of those monuments that were actually only 200 years old, recently discovered by French archaeologists and so forth. And I used a lot of 19th century French military records, journals, and so forth to bring to life the thousands of actors of this incredible time in history, from rankers to famous generals to a young Bonaparte who was only 27 years old.
By the way, he was obsessed. He was obsessed with power even at that age and wanted to create his legacy.
That's correct. I think that Napoleon Bonaparte, I don't think, wasted a minute of his life. He didn't live very long. I think he was dead by 54. But this is a man who kept busy 24/7. He would sleep, and nap style, a couple hours here, a couple hours there. But this man had an agenda already when he was a boy going to military school in France. And he seized it, and people followed him.
Yeah, unbelievable. So your trip down the Nile is happening in October.
That's correct.
Where did you find the old boat that you're going on, the steamship?
Well, it's a French travel outfit that owns this concern. So I'm going with them. It's a small group. It only does this twice a year. And I had some friends who took that trip, and they raved about it. And I said, maybe I should do this trip. So I do it to get away from the maddening crowd. I don't want to be on a Carnival cruise.
Right.
And seeing Egypt from the water and taking just little day trips, appealed to me more than being with thousands of other people on well-traveled lanes.